Today I want to talk about 5 key things that might be changing when it comes to how you're taxed here in America. Recently did a pass-through of President Trump's proposed changes to tax law. This bill in particular is called the One Big Beautiful Bill Act. It's quite a tremendous name if I do say so myself. But the first thing is going to be simply extending the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, which was enacted in 2017. And what this really did was lower taxes for most Americans, right? It reduced a lot of our tax brackets, it made our standard deduction larger, and introduced several deductions and credits. If nothing were to happen, if Congress were to sit on their hands, this is set to run out at the end of this year in 2025, and we would revert back to what we had in 2017, which would mean higher taxes and of course a lower standard deduction. So it's important to keep an eye out on this. It's also something to consider that we're looking at maybe a $4,000 additional deduction that we can take on top of a standard deduction for some of those, depending on your income. That's to be seen. But we could be looking at even more standard deduction here in the near future. No tax on tips or overtime. That's another interesting addition to this bill. This is one he talked about a lot on the campaign trail, and it looks like right now it is proposed. So we'll see how this plays out. But this is just excluding any income that someone makes either from overtime, of course, or being tipped as a waiter or similar. Another important piece was the extension of the estate tax exemption or the lifetime exemption. And now I know while I'm talking to literally 0.01% of Americans here, when I talk about having an amount of 13.99 million or nearly 28 million as a couple that you can pass on tax-free to your heirs, know that if this were to run off and it's reduced back down closer to $5 million, now I'm talking to a lot more of you. So the extension of the lifetime exemption means that this is going to increase with inflation, right? Last year, I think it was 13.69 million or something like that. This year, it's 13.99. Next year, it's probably going to be over 14 if it's extended. So that's something important to keep an eye on. Fourth is the SALT cap. That's the state and local taxes cap. That's the limit that you can deduct off of your taxes when we talk about things like state and local taxes. If you're in a state that has those, we're here in Texas, so thankfully we don't. But we are here in Texas, which means we have high property taxes if you own a home. So I didn't see much about this in the proposed bill, which might be disappointing for some of you, but it's important to know that when we look at the state and local tax bill, that hopefully they're going to at least extend it. One last thing I'll add here, and I'm sorry, I know this one's getting long, is the MAGA account. Yes, Make America Great Again account. That's not actually what it stands for. What it stands for is Money Accounts for Growth and Advancement. And what I've heard about it is it's going to be similar to an HSA or a Roth IRA, meaning there's going to be some tax-free component to it. So for nerds like me that love tax-free retirements, that may be interesting to see.